Okay, so I'm going to show you one more thing, and this is going to lead into your homework. Um, so I love thinking about hours. We have 168 hours in a week, right? And I want you to start thinking about your time in blocks in week a little bit more, but not in the sense of filling every time block, but just processing through, okay, I have 168 hours. How am I spending that time? Um, this is going to look different
How
for
how big are your time blocks normally? Does it vary?
So you're going to work through that, and that's going to be a part of your homework. But I want to give you an idea. Obviously, this will be different for you because yours is different. But I want you to start seeing like, okay, if I sleep 8 hours, obviously these time just because you wake up a lot earlier. What is my work time? And now I have like 50 something hours in here. What does that time look like? Or is your work block shifted? Or do you separate them? It's completely up to you, but your homework is I want to know what an ideal week looks like for you. Now, I don't want it to be in what you're specifically doing, just chunks of what is going on in your life. And I want this to bring into some of your habits, your routines, and things that you're naturally doing because we'll dive into that a little bit next week. But the idea is you're taking this and you're filling that out.
So what about Saturday and Sunday? Do you
Same
have
thing.
a philosophy though? Like, is that not a work time? Is it okay if I keep it consistent?
You can keep it consistent. We'll talk about it next week. I want you to process through everything we talked about today, but this is ideally what does a week look like for you. And I'm hopefully your Saturdays and Sundays should look a little bit different because they're different days. But as an entrepreneur, you might think about that a little differently. Whatever you feel, but I do want you to keep this in mind. Like I want you to keep in mind this idea of owning your schedule. I want you to keep in mind the idea of being productive. I want you to keep in mind activation energy and time investment. And I want you to keep in mind this non-urgent, important category of how do you invest in that. Now, you're thinking about not just things that you're doing one-offs. I want you to think about where are the more consistent things because there's going to be one-off things that you do. But I want to see where's the consistency in your flow. And some areas you're like, this is what I want. I'm not there yet, but try to be more consistent on where you are right now.
So will this look like this, or this should be more descriptive?
This can be more descriptive. I just want to give you an idea of like, okay, here's like a block of how people see their time. And so I want you to start with bigger blocks of like, okay, what does work look like for me? When am I working? Okay, what does sleep look like for me? If it was consistent, what does that look like? How am I filling in some of this time? Are there specific times I'm doing specific things? And just kind of get an idea around that. And we'll definitely talk about this a lot more.
Yeah, and so like kind of just to show you too, like kind of what I do. So I think what I'll do still is like a morning routine, and then that's broken out into more things. And then
Mm-hmm.
I do have like this working block in the middle of my day. So I won't get too specific with that, but I think even here, like, so this one has like 10 to noon is social media planning, and then 2 to 5 is basically a daily working session. And I'll mark like the output, so like Donna interview, but like that's cool for the next session. And I'm still always wanting to change this. We talk a lot about the morning routine time. Like, do I need to be waking up at 3:30 to get to the gym at 4 to be home by 7? Like, and a lot of that is to avoid other things I know frustrate me, like, having the whole gym to ourselves at 4 in the morning is worth going to sleep every night at 8:30.
Mm.
Right? But I do think those are things that are in conversation right now, especially with like manufacturers in Turkey, China. There's a lot of different variables. So should I use this as an opportunity to also change up
Sure.
my schedule? Cool.
Yeah. I mean, I want you, this is why I made this like lemonade. I want you to be able to like get more of like a dry erase type thing where you can
Cool.
move and change and shift, but it'll just give you some context of this is a starting place of prioritization. How are you spending your time? How do you want to spend your time? Will it happen overnight? Nope, but I think it's a good first step.
Okay. And should I get into this level of detail, like where I'll be planning urgent, important tasks?
Potentially, there we haven't talked about habits yet, but there are going to be some specific habits that you're probably going to implement, like prioritizing your day or prioritizing your week and things like that. And so those may not be there yet, but at least do what you are actually doing, and then I'm trying to see what your days look like.
Cool. Got
And
it.
then we're gonna fill in and shift as
Okay.
as needed.
That's perfect. That was a missing piece too. Is like, should I try to solve this? But I think my brain's too like, well, now we're gonna do a deep dive review of my long-term goals Saturday morning from 10 to noon. But we'll get there.
We'll get there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
One step at a time. And then the second part of the homework. So one thing I'm going to give you, just like I gave you the reflection, you got that?
Yeah.
I'm going to give you another one. Is prioritization. 365 days of just prioritizing, and this is just to help you
Cool.
start processing through prioritizing smaller, and not just like shoot. And I think it's gonna be a helpful exercise. So this is what the journal looks like. I'll explain more of it to you, but the picture is this: that every day that you have three priorities that you're really going after. One is, this is my top priority of the day, and the other two are just as important, but you're saying, when I say top priority, if I get this done but don't finish these other two, then it was still a pretty good day, right?
Cool.
Top priority, I want you to still think the mindset, think hour or less. If it's going to take 2 to 3 hours, maybe separate it into 2 or 3 different things, because you don't want to overload yourself. So hour or less. You only have 2 options. It's either urgent important or non-urgent important. If it's in any of these categories, I don't want to see, oh, I got to clear my inbox, or I have to make sure I respond to, like, no. Leave all that as stuff you have to get done. It's to-do list items. It's not necessarily a priority. So priority items, urgent important, put the time of day you want to do it. And here's another aspect that I think is going to be important that could be a game changer for you. This is a schedule. This isn't saying you already have your calendar, I use my calendar. But what I love to do is whatever I prioritize, I want to make sure is in my calendar.
Yeah.
So anything that you say, this is a top priority, put it in your calendar. This is when I'm working on it, and I don't care what comes that way, I'm blocking this off for this. And once you put it in your calendar, it puts a little bit more emphasis behind it, and I think that'll be good for you. And then just like a good check of like, what's today productive? I want you to pick a day sometime in the next week and just do this one day. And I just want to see what you do from that time. And of course, you'll have the what am I saying? You'll have the document that you can do on your iPad as much as you want. But I want one specific day you're like, okay, I'm going to wake up, I'm going to prioritize, and I'm going to knock all this out. And I want to talk through how that day went.
So a wise man once told me that you should get a good habit and hammer it every single day. Are you sure? I'm going to do this every day. I want to, because I think I need to. And then my bigger question too is like, it's okay that I don't really have well-defined goals right now.
For sure.
We're just going to focus on this from a priority perspective.
Priorities perspective.
Because I do definitely think that's like a gaping hole we're going to get to.
Yep.
Okay. Awesome, man.
Yep. The main thing I want to say is like, I want to have at least one that we go over.
So weird, and yes, this is a camera impact, but like when I literally hear myself say I don't have goals, I'd like to clarify. No, but like it's something that just needs a ton of work.
Sure. I get it, man. I think this is a stepping stone. We're just starting. I mean, we're on this journey, and I'll keep saying that because I want you to be able to know, like, priority setting is not something you arrive at. You're going to keep working on it. And though we went through a lot of stuff, you're still just scratching the surface.
And honestly, man, like I'm still like, I look at this, I'm like, I wonder what I'm gonna write here. I don't think I could answer it for today. I guess I could, like, coaching session with Ike.
What I'll also say is, I'm really big on this, is I encourage people, for whatever reason, I feel like this is a West thing again. When we think about priorities, we usually only think about a professional sense. I love thinking about personal and professional priorities. So in my day, there's personal and professional priorities. Also, I like thinking about things that sometimes we can go all urgent important. I want to have at least one non-urgent important thing in my day.
I love that.
Every day.
I love that, man. Very cool. Awesome. I'm excited.
That's going to be good. Okay. 2 more things. First, I want you to read this again. Now that we just went through that, read it again.
Why prioritize? To identify and accomplish what is most important. How to prioritize? Think through the top 2 to 3 urgent, important, and non-urgent important tasks you want to accomplish, and then make room for them in your daily schedule. Wins of prioritization, more focus, more productive days, more ownership of schedule, better planning, healthier work-life pace.
Does that hit you a little different after what we went through?
It does, man. Every time I hear the word prioritize, though, I have a visceral reaction because I used to have, again, a senior leader that used to literally, like, with the straightest of face, say that everything was a priority. I lasted 3 years.
Yeah.
But really, there's just top 2 to 3 urgent, important, and non-urgent important tasks.
Yeah, it's such a big thing because I know a lot of people struggle with, a lot of people struggle with this. And some of it is coming from people that are like their bosses of why it's so challenging. But I tell people, even if your work environment is challenging, that does not mean you can't get better at this.
And I think it'd be like crazy to not mention too, like, and especially when I think about our teams, right? And even our customers too, as part of our partnerships and teams, like the way in which I engage in those partnerships too, like the way I talk about things that we're doing, this is really helpful. Because I don't think a lot of people, like, and even, like when we talk about the amount of effort a task takes, like some of that's going to provide a lot more empathy to customers and especially employees. Like people that are helping you with important, urgent tasks deserve a level of empathy from us. But a lot of times I don't think we think about it in this context. So this is helpful on a different level too, from that perspective.
It's good, man. Okay, last thing for today. I want to end with this, your growth journey. So I want you to read it is, I am this. I added some things at the bottom, skills to work on. I want to work on this, I am working on this, and I want to be this. Cool? I am this. I'm working on this. I want to be this.
I am ambitious, brave, humorous, innovative, intuitive, charismatic, entrepreneurial, driven, persistent, punctual, witty, charitable, emotional, faithful, friendly, determined, honest, hard worker, grateful, kind, knowledgeable, methodical, motivational, strategic, enthusiastic, empathetic, compassionate, competent, decisive, mindful, sympathetic, transparent, and zealous. And I am working on timely decision-making, strategic agility, goal and priority setting, work-life balance, measuring and managing goals and priorities, and drive for results. I am working to become a patient and compassionate leader, a minimal and confident man without ego, an ardent learner and listener, ferociously present, a businessman who is focused on value, not money, disciplined enough to say no for who I want to be. Let's rock.
There we go. Concludes session 5 of the Grow or Die Coaching Podcast. This is fun. I really, like I said in the beginning, I really, really, really love this topic of prioritization. It's so big, and I don't think we give it enough time to just talk through it and process through how we're thinking through it. We just kind of accepted certain things about how it needs to be done. I think we need to challenge that a little bit, because if we do want healthy, sustainable growth, then this is an important topic that we need to be able to learn how to do well. So I hope you got a lot from this and that you enjoyed it as well, because this is something I think everybody on the planet needs to grow in. And as we're thinking about our growth journey, this is something that I think we need to lean into more. So excited about the future session when we start talking about habits. My favorite topic, prioritization is a great topic, but habit building is like the holy grail for me. This is like it. So I'm excited to talk about that next week. Until then, I hope you guys have a great day. Peace. Who are you? We're going to discuss this more. Second question being, who are you becoming? And third question being, who do you want to be?